Iceland, that's what we said, and people are like scratching a hole in their head going, Iceland, I don't get it. Why, if you're going on the road, the first place you go is somewhere so remote? Well, Johnny and I had traveled all over the world. Neither one of us had been to Iceland, and Johnny had a friend named Joey there who said he could pull it off, so we went out and said, rip to Iceland, and off we went. Well, naturally, before we ever left, everybody wanted to talk about the volcano that was going to blow up in the glacier. So it was international news, it was all over the place, and so every time we said we're going to Iceland, everybody's like, there's a volcano there, you guys are idiots. It actually turned out that the worst part of the trip didn't have anything to do with the volcano. It was the first day getting stuck in the airport. We took off from JFK to go to Iceland and went about an hour and a half, and they had an engine problem, had to come back, so we ended up sleeping on the hard, dirty floor in JFK, and that delayed us by about 9 hours. Once we did finally fly over Iceland, you could see how green it was and how beautiful, but there was tons of clouds, and we had great weather when we landed. It was a little drizzly and dreary, but we met the crew from Iceland, from Arctic Rider, and they were ready to host us, and we were ready to get going.
The weather looks great. It's about 50 degrees out, a little bit drizzly, wet dirt. We can't wait to roost some ice.
Got the passport stamp, we are in, and that's way easier than clearing customs in Mexico, by the way.
Woohoo, it's Iceland.
Welcome to Iceland.
Joey and his crew were there to pick us up in the van, and it was really awesome to meet up with him again. I hadn't seen him since the 2013 Dakar. And threw our bags in a nice enclosed trailer that he had and took us over to meet the crew at the hotel.
The capital of Iceland is a place called Reykjavik, and that's where we went to see CTI, Össur. They're the sponsors of Rip to Iceland. So we went in, did a fitting with Joey, and Johnny, Joey, and Shane all got new braces, and man, the people were so nice. It was our first experience with the people of Iceland, and they were just so friendly and outgoing, and they were super stoked to have us in their country, and we were super stoked to have their support.
Super cool. Össur's sponsoring the 2014 Rip to Iceland. They made us some special braces this year. So awesome.
We made a quick stop at where the tectonic plates for North America and Eurasia come together, and what an amazing just sliver, a crack right down the middle of Iceland, and there was an amazing waterfall there. We drank out of the water, and I got some photos, and then it was time to get to the business of doing dirt bike riding, but right away we knew this was going to be green, we knew it was going to be beautiful, and we knew it was going to be amazing.
You know, when we first showed up, and you know, the guys kept asking me, oh, what am I riding? What bike? Am I riding the Cowie, the Honda, the Suzuki, or KTM? What do we got? And when we first saw them, okay, they were fair to good, and most guys jumped right up, you know, to the bikes and said, okay, yeah, I want a Suzuki, or I want this bike, and you know, so they kind of chose their bikes and got settled in, set the bars and levers, and you know, there was one bike left, and this one bike was this
Gas 250, which I'm going to tell you right now was a piece of, yeah, it was rough to say the very least, but you know, if someone had to ride it, it may as well be me. I'm hosting the trip, so if there's a bottom of the barrel, I'm going to get it.
I'm Joey. This is the first day in Rip to Iceland, and this is a glacier long cube.
I got it. Throw him down. Put him on the ground.
Don't make me
the people in Iceland are really cool. They're accepting of the dirt bikes, as long as we're respectful of them, and so it was fun.
One of the longest days, we went out on day number 2, and it was a bit of an adventure. There was a couple creek crossings at the beginning, which were pretty minor, but once we get further up to the glacier, it was like we were turning onto the other side of the moon.
The second day was a really long day. We actually, rode over 100 miles, and it took us quite some time. There were a few trails, but quite a few river crossings. Some of the river crossings were a little tricky. This one in particular was about, probably 200 yards wide. And it wasn't very deep, but it was super rocky. One of our riders from Maine, Kevin DeChambeau, he was one of the last riders to come across, and he fell right in the middle of the river and just picked up the bike. He was soaked head to toe. I think even his GoPro went underwater. But it was super fun and challenging. When you get to a water crossing that's that long, it's a little bit intimidating. Yeah, day 3 was a pretty cool day. We were going to go over into another volcanic area.
We had been riding on mostly 2-track, and we got pretty juiced up as soon as Joey said, hey, we're going to go ride off track. And we rode down this river.
Everybody's going a pretty good clip, and Kari's out leading, Joey's second, I was third. And he led us down this creek, and we went through a really tight section where the cliffs were really tall, it was really scenic. And so I stopped to jump off to video some stuff as the guys were coming down this waterfall. And all I heard on the radio was, we need a medic, we need a medic.
And what happened was Mark Bradford caught an edge, then he caught a lava flow and went over the bars and dropped down the side of the mountain and landed smack on his face.
The goggle lens had cut into his cheek. We got him out of there safely and got him to the ER. There's a beautiful nurse there at the hospital that stitched him up, and he was all good, and he finished the rest of the ride.
And the bad news for Mark was he missed the Hecla volcano. The good news for us, we got to keep riding. We were doing like these couple 3,000-foot climbs, and it was like almost like riding on powder, but you're riding on volcanic rock. There was a cool little valley that a couple guys dropped into, and Cody or Kerry, however you say his name, from Iceland, the 7-time national champion there. He rode this canyon, Johnny rode it, I filmed it, it was really cool, but once we climbed up and over the top and into what was at one time the crater of one of the volcanoes, that's when it really got serious. We were like, whoa, look at this place. I mean, one volcano in the background, sitting in another volcano, the volcanic ash everywhere, the volcanic rock, and like I said, it was like riding on silt, and then we rode down and rode next to lava flows that had dried, and so they're higher than we are as we're riding alongside, snaking along this line, and there's just crazy topography. I mean, lava flows, and then all of a sudden it's just a flat, like volcanic rock area, and then all of a sudden there's a lake in the top of a crater. So it really was pretty crazy to see all the different changes that we went through in a short amount of time.
this day we cut a little short, and we had a little bit of a drive to get into this one little resort called Fire and Ice. And it had these awesome hot jacuzzi thermal pools, and then right next to it was this cold, cold river.
It was pretty cool. You know, we threw on our trunks. You know, ripping off your moto gear in the middle of the day is not always an easy thing to do, but we jumped in our trunks, got in the water, hung out, and it made for a great afternoon. It was one of those moments in a lifetime that you have to do and you just have to go for, no matter how tough it is to get all your gear off and on and how cold it is or whatever. It was one of those great moments for sure.
Day 5 turned out to be the test.
Well, when we said Iceland, everybody knew it could be cold, it could be raining, it could be crappy. And the last day of riding was exactly that.
The trip to Iceland was a really, really incredible trip. You know, something that, you know, you might only experience once in a lifetime. I certainly hope we could go back and explore more of that island. It was pretty trick. I really want to thank Arctic Rider, Joey and his crew for setting us all up, especially his wife, Goonie. She was great on the trip. And want to really thank Osher and CTI for helping support the trip. It was really awesome to go and see their headquarters there in Reykjavik.
Overall, I think Rip to Iceland was a home run. Yeah, the bikes were a bit of a struggle. Sometimes the weather was a little crappy. Sometimes the food was a little different. But hey, you're traveling somewhere else in the world to ride a dirt bike, and we saw some of the most amazing vistas, greatest colors, glaciers, volcanoes, you name it. We lived it and rode it on our dirt bike. So yeah, you might cry a little bit here and there or complain a little bit, but after the fact, I gotta say it was absolutely amazing. And Joey, his wife, and all the people at arcticrider.is, they did a great job. I suggest going riding with them, and I have a feeling we'll be back to Iceland before too long with Rip to Iceland 2.